It's Thursday, June 20th, and I'm your host, Paula Hersey. On Barnstable Today, we're reminded to check our yards for standing water and mosquitoes. We learn more about tonight's Town Council agenda, and we talk to our Director of Golf Operations about some new turf management initiatives. Now for a look at municipal and legislative notes. Attention Town of Barnstable residents. This Saturday, June 22nd, is your household hazardous waste collection day. Oil, paint, mercury, gas, pesticides, cleaners, art and hobby materials all can be hazardous to our environment and water. The hours of hazardous waste collection are 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. at the transfer station located at 45 Flint Street, Marston's Mills. Hazardous waste collections are free with a recycling sticker to Barnstable residents. For questions about this project, call the transfer station at 508-420-2258 or go to www.loveyourlocalwater.org. Click on the audit for a more complete list of materials accepted. Joining us in studio, Town Council President Jim Crocker with agenda highlights for tonight's meetings. Water. It's always about water at the town of Barnstable. With me today, Town Council President Jim Crocker. Jim, we got a Town Council meeting coming up on Thursday, and it's all about water.
Well, we stand on it, so we might as well bet on it, you know?
Right.
So here we go. We're putting our chips at risk here. So.
Right. So on the agenda for Town Council this week, we'll have the town manager's report, obviously, but we're looking at some filters for Mary Dunn and Straightway. So give us an update on that.
Yeah, that's a $3 million appropriation. It's going to start with design always, permits, and then actually the build out. So it's going to conclude the whole process of getting those two sites ready for pumping for public well supply access. We've had Straightway off for a number of months, and now we need to get these back on for volume purposes. Right. So we'd like to work this out, and it's time has come, and we have solutions. So we're happy to spend the money and make it work.
Right, that's fantastic to hear. I know that the Highness Water Department has really, done the yeoman's work of trying to get these things into the vernacular of the citizen and have them understand what's happened and how to get the water back.
Well, you and I were teasing each other before we started, and we talked about it being fluid, and when you're talking water, it always is, but it's really such a moving target. I mean, we have DEP changing the standards, changing the testing standards. They're changing them so fast that we can't even find laboratories to test at those levels. So we have a lot of issues we have to work on, and they deserve a great deal of credit trying to keep the water safe.
Fantastic. And then the plan we've all been waiting for. The comprehensive wastewater plan presentation is scheduled for Town Council.
Yeah, it's the draft, so we still have some tweaks to go, but really what you're going to see is a pretty comprehensive plan rolled out by, obviously, our DPW Commissioner. Finance is going to be the Director of Finance, and certainly our Town Manager. And what we're going to try to do is talk about ways that we're tying in these votes that are in front of us, and we do have one later for $8.5 million to put the spine in the road with the wind farm group. And these expenditures later get tied to the comprehensive program of expanding the service. And so we're ready to put our money where our mouth is and no more kicking the can down the road. There's just no time left for us. The contaminants that are emerging are forcing our hand quickly, and certainly if we start to put these into a treatment system, we'll be doing better for our environment.
Right. So let's back up just a little bit, and a comprehensive wastewater plan. Tell us how this has kind of come about and where this is in the whole process of the 208.
Well, you know, 208 was brought about by a lawsuit trying to force people to comply with 208. We had a comprehensive plan that is still in place, but it has not been updated. So that's really where we are. We're talking about updating the comprehensive wastewater plan. And so these are the additions that will suggest that we have addressed the next round of expansion and that we are prepared to talk about the long haul for the sewer expansion and how it may impact the people in the next areas affected immediately.
Right. And some of this nitrogen loading is really concentrated within the Three Bays area. You know, everything flows down. So, you know, talk a little bit about, you know, the importance of removing this nitrogen from our estuaries.
Yeah, well, when you talk about the Three Bays area, everybody thinks that it's exclusive to the Austell, Marston's Mills, Cotuit situation. But when they look at any maps that are contributing to the waterway, and that really goes as far away as Mashpee and Sandwich. So what we've had is a comprehensive program between the three towns to try to look at ways that we could improve discharge. And then we look at Three Bays itself and what we can do for Three Bays. And our first choice with Three Bays has been an issue that should really come and follow the lead that we found when we did the dredging in East Bay. Okay. In East Bay, which is the mouth of the Centerville River going into Nantucket Sound, when we dredged in 3 different occasions, the state called us up and said, guys, your testing is perfect for the soils on top. We'll let you do seasonal harvesting of quahogs, when East Bay hadn't been open to quahogs for 23 years. So there is some direct connection between dredging, opening the flow, and really having the chance for the sediment to leave your bay and your estuary. And that's really the process we need to look at, how we contribute to them and how we allow the flow to dissipate and leave the bays.
Right. And just to bring this home to everybody, this is really not necessarily always just an environmental issue. This is an economic issue.
Well, certainly some of the highest paying tax members of our society or of our township are in that embayment. And what happens when you don't clean the bays, they actually can change the categorization at the state level of the bay and the quality of the bay. And that would be a very big argument for people to say, well, gee, you know, my real estate may not be worth what it once was worth because you guys haven't done your due diligence as stewards of the bayments and ensuring that we all have the beautiful estuaries that we deserve. Right. So we have a social issue, we have an economic issue, and we certainly have a problem that has risen its head and needs to be corrected. So.
Right. So residents, Town Council, 7 p.m., second floor hearing room.
Yeah.
What can they expect from this presentation? Is it very dry, or is there going to be a Q&A with the Town Council?
Oh, there'll be a Q&A. This council won't let anything go without some questions on it. And anytime you talk sewers, you talk money, and it's a major impact for everybody. So I expect there'll be a lively exchange of ideas and dollars and discussions. But the council is somewhat excited that the operating budgets are behind us, and this is an issue we've been dying to tackle for a while. So, and everybody's up on it. Everybody's seen a lot of the documentation. So I think it'll be a great medium of exchanges.
Great, and important for residents to watch. They can watch it on Channel 18. It'll be live on video demand, 7 p.m., or they can come here to Town Hall.
They're fortunate. We get them the information any way we can.
Excellent. Thanks so much, Jim.
Thank you.
The town's commitment to the environment and its water extends across all the departments. We have an update on the new organics program being implemented at our 2 municipal golf courses. Director of Golf Operations, Bruce McIntyre, has more.
Golf course maintenance is it's a combination of mowing, cultural practices, aerating, top dressing, and water management, chemical management, fertility management. These are all things that go into the pot of making a golf course work traditionally. So it is a new day at Barnstable Golf. As we bring in the new season for 2019, we also bring in a lot of other things into the fold. Effective beginning of July, Barnstable Golf will start transitioning from a traditional mode of maintenance into an all-organic, pesticide-free mode. And we're in the process of embracing new protocols and new policies that the town has set forth. And it's going to be a very long transition, but at the same time, and it is a challenge, We're trying to embrace this, and we'll put everything that we can into it with all means at our disposal to try to keep the courses in the same kind of condition and keep our standards to what people expect them to be moving forward. Traditional golf course maintenance is something that would embrace the components of proper mowing, proper fertilizing, proper application of plant protectants or pesticides, whichever you'd like to call them, as well as water, and applying that using integrated pest management programs, best management practices set forth by the state and the major universities, and always with an emphasis on less is more, and the environment is always the #1 consideration when choosing a product to use. Well, I think that some of the biggest things are obviously traditional methods. If we speak about fungus that grows on the golf course in the course of the summer, the hot, humid nights lead to fungal invasions. Those are things that we need to take care of, or we're going to lose significant turf. The same thing with insects. Most people put out some grub control to keep the Japanese beetle grubs out of their lawns. We deal with an entirely different host of fellas out here. You won't find them in their lawn. They're very difficult to control. But traditional maintenance, we would preventatively, looking at history, make applications to keep these buggers away. If our fertility isn't proper, if we're not giving the plant recuperative potential, the traffic on the tees, greens, and fairways, because we're maintaining them every single day, not like mowing your home lawn once a week or so at 2.5 inches or 3 inches. We're maintaining turf at 1/2 inch down to 1/8 of an inch. And so with that brings a whole lot of host of different activities, one of which is doing everything you can to take stress off the plant and help it make it through the summer months without dying. Chris White, the director of golf maintenance, and I have been kind of on a whirlwind tour for the last month. We've met with university experts in the field. We have traveled to nearby golf courses that have aspired to be all organic. We've dealt with technical reps from major corporations all over the country, and we've also spent a great deal of time communicating and meeting with Dr. Frank Rossi from Cornell University. He's the nation's foremost leading authority on organic golf course maintenance. He's very heavily involved in Suffolk and Nassau counties on Long Island in their extremely stringent programs that they have down there. They're the toughest pesticide and fertilizer rules in the country. He's the guy that writes programs for them for the state of New York at Bethpage Park in Long Island. And we've taken all of the research that we could find on this and worked together to come up with the protocols that are working for people that are being successful to certain degrees. And we're going to be adopting these new protocols, which is going to take us some time. People need to be patient with the change. You're going to see some new and different things on the golf course. This is not a fast transition, but it's something that we're looking at. Probably is going to take the next 3 years to get where we want to go. The ultimate reward would be to be able to say we would be the first all-organic or pesticide-free golf course that I think anybody can think of. It is rather unprecedented, and we're going to do everything we can to meet the challenge. I think it's important for people to understand that a number of the new practices and programs that we're going to run are going to take time. And that time is in the morning predominantly. I can see, based upon the frequency, most of the programs are very frequent, where I might spray a fungicide on the fairways once in a month. We will be spraying every week. People need to understand that the sprayers will be out on a regular basis, and that there are going to be numerous times where the back nine is not going to be available to golfers because we're simply going to have too many different new programs to get into place if we're going to be successful. So again, we ask people to bear with us. It's hard to schedule these things. If we say we want to spray an organic fungicide on the fairways on a Wednesday and it pours out that day, we can't do it. But Thursday we might have to do it, and we might have to displace some golfers, and That's something that we've never done traditionally, and we've always tried to be out of the way, out of sight, out of mind, and have the golf courses fully accessible at all opportunities. This is something that might change that a little bit. It's all new to us. It's going to take us this summer as a trial and error just to get our feet wet in the program, so to speak. The ultimate goal would be to decrease our footprint, if not eliminate our footprint on the environment, by reducing or eliminating inputs and sticking with an organic protocol that hopefully the town of Barnstable can be a leader now and in the future as to taking a bold step in the name of public safety, in the name of the environment, the groundwater underneath us, and our children and our children's children down the road. You know, nothing said everything was intended to be easy. This is going to be a challenge, and we hope that people will bear with us and cooperate with us and understand and consider that we're doing a lot of new and different things, but at the end of the day, the purpose is right, the end result is good, and hopefully it'll stimulate other municipalities to consider such an option, and maybe, just maybe, if we're as successful as we hope to be, that private industry will follow us in that same goal.
Tis the season for earwigs and mosquitoes. Our favorite entomologist duo is back with another creepy crawly episode of Bug Buzz.
Hi, I'm Larry Dapsis. I'm the entomologist with Cape Cod Cooperative Extension, and I'm here with my high-flying bug buddy,
Gabrielle Sokolsky. I'm the entomologist with Cape Cod Mosquito Control.
So welcome to Bug Buzz, and in this show, Gabby and I each bring an insect into your room, basically. You may have seen them, know something about them, but we're going to fill you in on a lot of other interesting details to kind of round out how these things make their living. So today, Gabby, what do you bring into the party?
I'm going to talk about mosquitoes. Not a surprise this
Not
time of year.
a shock, and
No.
something
And
locally important as well as globally.
It is, and something that you don't want in your room, right? So here on Cape Cod, we've got about 25 different species of mosquitoes. I know everybody sees them, swats them, doesn't really look at them. They just want to get rid of them. And that's a good thing too, because mosquitoes are not only annoying, but they also carry diseases.
Sure.
And one of the things I feel like I need to mention at this time is that West Nile virus is definitely in all of the towns on Cape Cod. And as we go into summer, one of the things to consider is that mosquitoes biting you might not just be annoying, but might be carrying disease as well. Last year on Cape Cod, we had a few people who got West Nile virus who had symptoms that were severe enough for them to seek medical assistance. So something to keep in mind, not just ruining your barbecue, but also maybe causing you illness as well.
But we also have a threat of triple E.
We do, more off Cape than on Cape. This season is definitely ramping up to be a busy season for mosquito control. We had a lot of water, a lot of rain, even in the fall. The swamps were all wet, and coming through the winter, it was a mild winter. Everything stayed wet, everything stayed mild. The mosquitoes are moving along quickly, and my crews are out right now sampling for mosquitoes, and they're finding them everywhere they go.
So you're finding larvae out there in the
Larvae
pools.
and pupa. So a couple sunny days, and it looks like today might finally be sunny, they're going to be flying soon. So one of the things that I'd like to remind people this time of year is that you can do something to control mosquitoes on your own property. Mosquitoes lay their eggs in standing water or around standing water. The larvae hatch from those eggs, and they live in the standing water. The pupa that develop from those larvae also in standing water. You can see my theme here, standing water. What you don't want in your yard is standing water. In the gutters, on the tarp that's over something in your yard, in any buckets outside, any standing water is mosquito habitat.
So it's even a small amount of water can generate...
Even a small amount, like a little jar,
Okay, so like you have here.
can fill up with mosquitoes rather quickly.
That's a mosquito factory I'm looking at right
That's
there.
a mosquito factory, and those were collected last week, so in May on Cape Cod.
Okay, so if you're managing your standing water, there's really no need to spray for them.
No, you should be able to control mosquitoes in your yard. And the mosquitoes that come out at dusk and at nighttime are freshwater mosquitoes. Those are mosquitoes that don't fly very far. They're coming from your yard, or as everybody who calls me tells me, their neighbor's yard. Mosquitoes that bite you during the day are coming from salt marshes. They'll fly for up to 5 miles, and they're aggressive biters, middle of the day biting you. What you can do if you have mosquitoes like that is give Cape Cod Mosquito Control a call. We're paid for in your taxes. We're a quasi-state organization. You pay for our services. If you have a mosquito problem, my crews will be sent out to take a look and find out where those mosquitoes are coming from.
And if you were going to treat bodies of water, what are the types of chemicals that you guys are using?
For the most part, we're using a bacteria, Bacillus thuringiensis israelensis.
So you're
BTI.
going biological.
Biological all the way. This is Cape Cod.
All right, very good.
Thanks.
So, all right, the transition from mosquitoes now to things that are kind of on the ground and in the soil. What I'm going to talk about today are earwigs, okay? And earwigs, as we've talked about, they look rather menacing. You see, that long body, those pincers that look like they can really do some serious stuff. These guys, they do have wings, but they rarely fly. And if they do take flight, they're actually kind of clumsy flyers, so they're better off being on the ground. Now, these guys have been with us since the Jurassic era. They've been on this planet for 200 million years, so they know their way around. One of the things, these things get into lore in terms of poetry and writings, and there's this old wives' tale about earwigs being able to get into your ear at night, lay eggs, and they'll eat your brains out and stuff. So there's a lot of stuff out there like that it's easily dispelled. I tell people here that are creeped out by earwigs, they're what, 3/4, 1 inch long, okay? And people kind of grimace at those things when they see that.
do.
And in my job, I have found that I can tell people, look, it can always be worse. Let's say you lived in Taiwan, for example. Take a look at an earwig that's 6 inches long, okay? That might change your point of view. Now, how do these things make their living? They're omnivores. So they feed on living plant tissue, decaying plant tissue, animal matter, including they will prey upon insects. So what I like to do is share my first experience moving up here to Massachusetts 30 years ago. Ruth and I got a house and a beautiful garden. And so I went to the garden center, got some flats of seedlings, and I put them under a tree, and they were there for probably a week. And when I was getting ready to do my gardening, going out to look at my flats, this is what I saw. They were completely chewed up. Yeah, take a look at this picture here. They're amazing. So I didn't know quite what was going on till I lifted up the flat and saw earwigs, a bunch of earwigs underneath it. So lesson learned. I was putting my flats now on picnic table or get them up off the ground. But you see quite a bit of damage on other plants. So like this basil plant, they'll feed on flowers. They'll even feed on fruits like strawberries, but they might not eat the whole strawberry, but they're going to introduce decay organisms that's going to allow that thing to break down fairly quickly. If they are a reoccurring problem in your garden, you can always resort to a easy fix spinosad. So you go to a garden center and get Captain Jack's Dead Bug Brew. Pretty effective stuff, very safe. You just don't spray it on the flowers themselves. But those formidable looking pincers, yeah, they can actually use them. So if you put them in a situation where they're in a defensive mode, like we're showing here, it's got its abdomen curved up over the top of its body, pincers extended, and it's also spraying a very foul smelling liquid at the same time. And they can grab and pinch you. They're not going to cause a lot of damage, but as you see here, they can leave you a little bit of a welt and a memory. Now, what I find amazing about earwigs is that most adult female insects, they lay their eggs and basically move on. So it's kind of like your mosquitoes, they lay their eggs in a raft, and as kids, you're on your own, have a nice life. What earwigs do, they have this maternal behavior, which is very rare in a non-social insect, unlike, you know, bumblebees and other things. So mom will lay her eggs, and she, as we see here, she stays with them to protect them from predators. And even when they hatch out into those little nymphs, and she stays with them still. And earwigs, they molt about 5 times from newly hatched to being an adult, and that mom will stay with those earwigs until they've molted twice. They're almost like a third the way grown. It's like, you know, you're living with them until they're 12 years old, and then it's like, okay, move on, have a nice life. So that's it with this segment of Bug Buzz. Stay tuned for more interesting stuff in the future.
Up next, things to do, places to go, and people to meet. Cape Cod Remembers John F. Kennedy Jr. is a new exhibit now showing at the JFK Hyannis Museum. July 16th, 2019 marks the 20th anniversary of the loss of JFK Jr., Carolyn Bessette Kennedy and her sister Lauren in a plane crash off of Cape Cod. Set in thematic arrangements, Cape Cod JFK Remembers features extraordinary images, some seldom seen, of John Jr. alone or with his father, mother, sister, and wife. Through video, photographs, quotes, text, and artifacts, this commemorative special exhibit invites visitors to remember John F. Kennedy Jr., who, like his father, had every gift but length of years. Comments, suggestions, accolades, connect with us on Facebook, email us, or send us an old-fashioned note by carrier pigeon. Channel 18 works for you. I'm Paula Hersey, and thank you for watching Barnstable Today.